Hi fellow crocheters, my name's Nicole. Thank you for joining me here today while we have a look at the corner to corner crochet pattern. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a square and a rectangle sample. To make this pattern you can use any size of yarn and hook, but for the purposes of this sample I'm using this Lion brand yarn called Mandala Ombre, and this one's in the colourway Happy. Absolutely love this yarn. And the hook that I've chosen is a K 6.5mm clover hook. So we begin with a slip knot, and this bottom tail will join onto the bottom corner of the square or the rectangle. We'll build up in blocks from that corner. First thing you need to do is build the first block for the first row. And to do that you chain 6, and you'll be working into the third chain from the hook. So an easy way of doing that is to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and place your thumb on this bottom stitch, and then continue with the rest of the 6, 4, 5, 6. Then you want to double crochet into the third stitch from the hook, which is this stitch underneath of your thumb, and do a double crochet into there, going in from underneath with two loops above and 1 underneath. And then you need to do 2 more double crochets into these last 2 chains. And here is your first block. Now we want to turn the work by turning towards us, and we start row 2 by building another block. So again, you chain 3, put your thumb on the third chain, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now you need to check the orientation of your work, because sometimes this can flip up while you're working, and you just need to make sure that you twist that down so that the tail is at the bottom and it looks like that. Okay? And then taking this block, if you go to the top, you'll see there's a space underneath of the chain. So you want to go into that chain space and slip stitch to hold those two together. Now we need to build on the next block of row 2. So to build a block we need to chain 3 and then do 2 double crochets into the space. And then the third double crochet, as we are on an edge, rather than going into this space, I'll do the double crochet into this chain. To hold that edge block in place. Don't worry if that's a little bit confusing, I will explain it again as we go on. Now we have 1 block for row 1, 2 blocks for row 2, and each row will increase by 1 block while we're still increasing the square. Now we turn our work and start on row 3 by increasing a block again, so we chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again do 3 double crochets starting under your thumb, 1, 2 and 3. And then going up to this first block on row 2, we slip stitch to hold that in place. And now we do what I would call a building of a block, as it's in the middle of the work. So chain 3 and 3 double crochets into the space. You do this every time you need to build a block. Now join on to this last one, and as it's an edge, you do an edge block again by chaining 3, 2 double crochets into the chain space, and then the third one you pop somewhere into that edge to hold that straight. And then we've finished row 3. Well, for the purposes of this sample, we'll do one more row. So again, we turn, and we want to increase by another block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 double crochets. And join onto the first block of row 3, and continue to increase and continue to fill in our blocks. Then when we come to this edge again, we do an edge block, so that's chain 3, 2 double crochets into the space, and 1 into the edge. Okay, so now as you'll see, if we're wanting to make a square 4 by 4, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4 across the bottom, and 1, 2, 3, 4 going up. So now it's time to turn our work and complete the other half of this square. So we turn our work. Now we don't want to continue increasing because we want to come across here. So we slip stitch across this last block that we've created. Going across the ones at the top, and then put another slip stitch into this top of this chain, and that holds that there nice and square. Now we'll be doing row 5, so we continue as normal with our blocks until we get to the end. Okay, now because we don't want to, so we've joined onto this last one, and normally we'd then continue to build a block into this space, but because we have the 4 that we want on this side, it's time to go ahead, to just go straight ahead and turn our work. and then continue back along this side. So that's 1, 2 and 3 into the top of those double crochets, and then one further one into the top of this chain. Okay, now it's time to do the blocks across again to here. Join onto that last square, and again turn our work and go back across this row. 1, 2. And as you're doing this, make sure that you keep it nice and loose. I like to pull that out quite tight. Okay, and then slip stitch into the top of this chain. Okay, it's time to do the last block. Slip stitch into there, and then to keep it looking nice and neat, I like to turn my work again and then slip stitch to the corner, finishing off this last block. And there we have it. Our corner to corner 4-block square. Now, in case you'd like to see how to make this into a rectangle, I'll pull this back now to the 4x4 triangle that we had. And then we can go forward again, showing you how to do the rectangle. Okay. As you can see, we're back at the 4x4. So now we're ready to turn. We're here with our work. We're ready to turn on this edge here, but we want to continue to this one, and we'll do a 4x6. So the rectangle will go to about here. Okay, so I've just joined on to this 4th block, and it's time to turn my work. And then I want to slip stitch nice and loosely across the top of this block and into the top of that chain. And then we're ready to continue the block across this row, making this turn on this side. 1, 2, 3 and 3 into the chain space again. 2 and 3. Continue across this row. And I'll show you what to do when we get to the edge again. Okay, so it's time to join onto this edge. To increase on this side to make the rectangle. So I'll go ahead and do another block in here. 1, 2 and 1 into the edge. And turn our work. Okay, so now we want to increase for the last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then join onto here and back across the row. Okay, I'm joining on to this edge again, and we need to turn again and go back along this block by slip stitching, remembering to put one into the chain at the end, and then continue our blocks again along that row. Join onto this edge one here, and now we'll see it's time to turn, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have our 4 by 6 rectangle. So we turn our work and go back along this row. And again into this chain, and then continue the block to the other end. And we're almost done. Join onto here, turn again. And then it's time to do this last block. Okay, go into that space, slip stitch, and I like to keep things uniform, so I like to turn and slip stitch to the corner. And then you're ready to either continue with the border or cut that off and tie in your ends. Corner to corner rectangle of 4 by 6 blocks. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you all have fun with your crochet, and I hope to see you all again soon for another project. Thanks. Bye bye.